Hey guys, Bradley Waldrop here, and I just wanted to say, hey, first of all, I'm really sorry that I have to do this as a pre-recorded Google Hangout. Unfortunately, my time today has been completely absorbed by my clients, and I need to take care of them first. And so I still wanted to get you the information. I wanted to be able to have this available to you to be able to be replayed anytime you want, because this is really a lesson learned along the way. And this, what I'm going to consider this is the Hillbilly's Guide to Hosting Video on Your Website. And the reason I wanted to sort of put it that way is that, well, I live in the South, and life is just better when it's simple. And I'm hoping that that's exactly what this is for you. Let me tell you a little reason why I'm doing this. I actually just recently launched a few products, and I launched a product about in November. And those people who tested it and used it were mostly in the United States, and they were mostly geographically located near where my server was, and I never really had many problems. But then when I went into testing for the second version, or the second launched product online that had video in it, all of a sudden I started to get some complaints, and the complaints I got were that the video wasn't loading, it was taking too long. And quite frankly, it was destroying my server. I had to continue to reboot the thing because there were latency problems, and that the signal just it almost got kind of stuck in the cybersphere, whatever that is out there, the ether. And one of the questions that I had for myself was, well, how do I do this much more effectively and efficiently, yet make sure that I, one, keep costs down, and two, keep the video that people are paying for private, so that I could share it just to them, just to my members. And when I do that, all of a sudden, I've got all these options in front of me. And so I found a few options that work. I'm not affiliate for any of these, and so I just wanted to be very straight with you. I'm not here to try to sell you on it. I'm trying to tell you what I did and what worked for me and what didn't work. We have a few options to begin with, and what I thought I would do is just sort of switch over, share my screen, and go back and forth between the different options that are available, why I did what I did, and hopefully keep this down to about 20 minutes, maybe 30 at the most, and allow you to get back to work and get done the things you need to get done. However, if there are questions that you have, down below in the screen here, you see my Skype username. Now, I've received an awful lot of comments just in the last month or so that people can't find me on Skype because there are what appear to be 1,000 Bradley Waldrops on Skype. It's not quite that many, but actually, if you search for me as Bradley.Waldrop with the dot between my first and last name, you'll actually find me right away. Go ahead and click on that and ask to be connected to me. And I will do everything I possibly can to answer questions about my own experience that came through this. And I want you to be able to learn from the mistakes and the troubles that I had, because fundamentally I was strapped to my computer as I was trying to fix all of this, and I was going live with a launch. And as I went live with a launch and I ended up with more traffic, I had more problems. And I ended up having to upgrade my server. I had to reboot all the time. And all of those things I actually didn't have to do if it wasn't for being able to plan correctly in the beginning. So let me just sort of walk you through it and talk about the concepts, and maybe that will help you an awful lot. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and switch over here. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. There we go. And I'm going to share this, and we're going to bounce over to this. Let's just double check real quick. Okay. All right, you guys. So you know of YouTube. You know of being able to upload videos to YouTube, I'm sure. If you don't, just ping me and I'll help you out a little bit. But when you deal with YouTube, there are ways of actually setting up a video that is only available to certain people. And what I wanted to do is I just wanted to show you that option This is going to play here, and I don't want to. Okay. I wanted to show you this option. When you set up a video inside YouTube, you can set it up as being public. That means available to anyone and searchable inside YouTube, which is owned by Google, which means that it's searchable in Google, which is a good thing if you want your videos to be public. These are maybe video sales letters, video testimonials, video reviews, sneak peeks to your product, and those kinds of things. But they're not so good if you're charging money for the training, and people can just simply search for the video, get it for free, and one, it's not good for you, and two, it's not right for those people who paid for it. So I want to make sure that you pay attention to that. So if it's public, it's publicly searchable. Unlisted is where it's no longer searchable by Google or inside of YouTube, but people who subscribe to your channel, for instance, they can view it. They will probably get an announcement that you uploaded it, and they can share it, even though they're asked not to share it. YouTube, when it, you can click the share button in YouTube, and in fact, they'll show it to you and show you where it is. Let me just go back here real quick. This page. I'm going to pause this real quick. All right, so if I wanted to share this video, I could click on this where it says share. Now, if for some reason it's set as unlisted, you're going to get a little warning symbol here that says, wait, hold on just a second. The producer of this video has asked for you not to share it. That doesn't mean that they can't, though. It's here. It's also up in the title bar. Here, they can just copy and paste this URL, and they can share it. So you have to be really careful about what you put inside YouTube, but this is maybe a good place for you to put items that you, that you want to be available, and it's not as private as it needs to be. Okay, I mean, it's not super private, and that you don't need to lock it all the way down. Now, there is one more setting, and it's called private. And on the private setting, it is only available to the people who you have invited with their email. And you can, if you wish to do this, you can create a private video inside YouTube, and then when people sign up, you can send them a link and send them, sign them up with their email address and give them access to the video. What's interesting about that option is that it doesn't cost you anything. You can upload it to YouTube, and it will be there forever, available to anyone that you give an email address to. And so if you are on a shoestring and you are trying to figure out a way to lock down content, only give it to the people who you would like to see it, or maybe who have paid for it, then you can click on private, and then when you click on private, you can then add names, circles, or email addresses and include them in the invite for that video. So there is an alternative that is absolutely free on a really great platform, and that is YouTube. Right? You probably also know about Vimeo. I am just going to go to Vimeo.com, and I won't go into my article or into my account, just because the setup of Vimeo and YouTube is very, very similar. And you can make things private as well inside Vimeo and only share those links, depending on what kind of service you want and which service you like best. Both of them have free accounts, and it works out really, really famously. And so you can do this on the cheap. What I would like to also impress upon you is that both YouTube and Vimeo have a distributed data model where the information, the video, doesn't tax your server, right? So if you have video sales letters, you have video reviews, testimonials, and things like that, and they're in YouTube or Vimeo, no matter where someone is in the world, when they access that data has been optimized, has been moved to a location near them, which is really fantastic. That means that they can have access to it very quickly, and the actual traffic run through goes through Vimeo or through YouTube, and it doesn't tax your server. So if you have 1,000 people watching that video, it's really not your website having 1,000 viewers all at once. It's YouTube or Vimeo's server that's actually laden with all of the pressure of all those people watching it. So great options right there, and free options. Now, for me, I had to figure out a different way because I wanted to not just protect it that way, but I also wanted to sort of do it hands off. I didn't want to have to go in and add all of the email addresses for everyone who is subscribed to the purchase of either Internet Traffic Genie, Samurai Secrets, or the upcoming Mystic conversion hacking. I'm not at all interested in spending the labor to add people to multiple videos. You know, like for instance, Internet Traffic Genie, I think, has 12 different videos. So if I get 100 buyers in the first week, that means that I'm doing 1,200 entries into YouTube or Vimeo to adjust the privacy settings, and I will go just absolutely bonkers if I have to do that, and I don't want you to have to do it either. So there are other ways, and so what I thought I would do is just tell you what I did. Well, first of all, one of the things that I absolutely did was I created an account with Max CDN. CDN, if you don't know what that means, it's Content Distribution Network, and a CDN allows you to sort of automatically upload information from WordPress or other platforms, Joomla or other platforms out there. It allows you to upload information to this really cool distributed network that is Max CDN. It's a bunch of hard drives all over the world, and then have your website go and access that information rather than coming from the local server. You pay for the traffic that you get on Max CDN. It's like $6 or $7 a month. It's pretty inexpensive, but it distributes the data all over the place so that people, my friends in Australia, my friends in Africa, my friends in Pakistan, you know, when the power goes out and the brownouts are there, they don't always have access to the different things, and they also don't have access to high-speed internet all the time. So being able to get the video closer to them actually helps an awful lot. And so that is one way to do it. We can get the website content to them with a CDN, with a content distribution network. And you can sign up for this very simply. There are plugins that are caching type plugins, speed enhancement plugins, or CDN type plugins, and the support on these sites are really, really great. They have live support that jumps on, and you can even see this down here. We're here to help you right now, and I tell you what, I have used these people at least a dozen times in a month, and within 30 seconds they're on. They show me exactly what I need to do. I can fix it right away, and it works out real good. So CDN is super important when you want fast web pages and you want to distribute those web pages around the world so that everyone has access to them very, very quickly. So I would highly recommend a CDN if you're serving these training platforms. If it's not a simple download, and in fact a lot of the sales platforms that we use, like ClickBank and JVZoo and others, you can actually set it up and they'll serve it, and you can just have them download it off of their server, which is great. But if you have a membership site, if you have a place for people to come, and you have a members page that's going to serve all of your content, it's really helpful to have a CDN because it distributes that load across the world and allows people to have access to it right away. All right, so that's important to know, and you can integrate that with storing the big files that you have, either with a service like Max CDN, or a cheaper way is serving it on Amazon's S3 network. Now, I know that this can be kind of complicated, and I don't want it to be. Max CDN, I use it to distribute the web content, the HTML pages, the JavaScripts, the CSS files, the sort of behind-the-scenes images of what's happening on my server. And they hold on to all of that, they distribute it, and I pay, I think it's $6.95 a month for 3 different websites that they do that for me, and it works out famously. However, if I want big files, video files, for instance, high-def video files, to be served I need to find a different solution because I want to keep the costs down. And one of the ways I do that is through Amazon's S3 service. And if you go to Amazon, you just do a Google search for Amazon S3, it will ask you to go ahead and log into your Amazon account and create an AWS account. And AWS, I don't even know what it stands for, maybe Amazon Web Services, and create one of those accounts. And then when you create those accounts, it'll ask you what you want out of the services. And here are all the different services. There is a ton of stuff here. Don't be overwhelmed. S3 is their server that holds on to data. It's just a big hard drive. All right, and so you click on this, you create, and when you click on that, you actually get to a page that looks a lot like this. And so you create a folder inside, or a bucket. You create what they call buckets, sort of folders inside of folders. Buckets of areas for you to put information. I have created a bucket called Bradley Waldrop, and for demonstration purposes, here we have a folder inside of it. What you do is then you upload files, and if you click on upload, you can just drag and drop your files right here. Boom, they go right in. Click on the start upload page, or start upload link, and it will just do that. It'll upload them in the background. Now, what you'll have to do if you want people to have access to this information is you'll have to make those files available or public. And you can do that by going up to Actions and choosing Make Public after they have been updated. Okay? And then by clicking on each one of the files here on the right-hand side, you'll get the properties. The properties actually have a link right to that file. And all you do is you replace the video that you would normally be serving on your own website with this new link. And this new link will then go reference Amazon's hard drive and give people the data, because you don't want to serve these big files on your own server. One, it bogs down your own bandwidth. Two, it can cost you an awful lot of money, because you're going to be charged for all the bandwidth of the people who get on there and view the video. And your hosted site, generally shared hosting or VPS, is not it's not efficient for serving video. Now, if you just do S3, and this is where I was to begin with, you just do S3, you take a lot of load off your server. You have your CDN that's working fine, pretty good, until you have people on the other side of the world trying to access the bucket that you have created in a very specific geographic region inside wherever. Mine happens to be on the west coast of the US, because that's where I started, was on the west coast of the US. And so that's where all my files are sitting, is in a server somewhere in California or Oregon or Washington. And when you access those directly, then you are accessing the files directly from the hard drive that sits on the west coast of the United States. Now, if you're in Australia, that takes you an awful long time to get the data. If you're in Europe, maybe not as much, but it does take some time. So what I ended up doing was creating or going and using another service, one more service from Amazon. But this has really changed everything for me. And it's phenomenal. The service is called CloudFront. And what it does is it essentially does the same thing that MaxCDN does with everything that's inside my S3 drive. What's really cool about it is that you can take every one of the buckets you have in S3, and you can create a CloudFront distribution. You can then create, what I mean by create a distribution is you can tell it to go move all of those files and replicate them across the world, across all of the Amazon servers, or a few of the Amazon servers. And what that's going to do for you is it's actually going to move data closer to your customer if you are doing international work like I'm doing. It moves that data closer to your customer, and when it moves it closer to your customer, then people access it off of that server that's close to them, and it's just like that distributed model that YouTube has or Vimeo has. They have a whole bunch of computers all over, and this information's been duplicated everywhere so that they can make it fast and easy to download. This actually puts you in control of what is being distributed and where it's being distributed to, and then giving your customers that exclusive access to it, that that all you need is, a link, and then it automatically figures out where they are, and it gives them the video based on their location, which is really kind of cool. So all you end up doing is you end up replacing the URL to the video with the URL. Let me go back here. The URL here, instead of it being an s3.amazon URL, you replace it with this. And you replace it with this, and maybe it's /video1, /video2, because it's in your bucket and it's called video 1 or video 2. You replace the domain portion of the URL with your CloudFront, and all of a sudden it automatically figures out where your user is and gives them the fastest, closest, best data. And I tell you what my bill was for last month, and it was accessed a lot. My bill for last month was I just got it this morning, $4.23. $4.23 allowed me to distribute all this data around the world and not have to worry about it. And we're talking about gigabytes and gigabytes of data. It's been really, really great for me. And I'm not here to sell Amazon services. There are a bunch of different services that compete with Amazon. I happen to like Amazon's model because it's easy to access, and they have a lot of excess capacity in the servers that they have, and the way they do it is priced exactly right for me. There are lots of different ways that you can integrate that. So this is exactly what I have done, and let me go back here and give you, stop sharing my screen. And this is what I want to say. I don't want this to be complicated. I told you it was going to be the Hillbilly's guide. And so fundamentally, you don't want to serve video on your own server. You don't want to upload all those videos to the WP content folder, for instance. Don't do that. Don't upload it to your media folder inside WordPress. It just bogs down your server and costs you an awful lot of money. People are going to complain because you don't have enough bandwidth in order to give them what they need. The lowest hanging fruit, the fastest, cheapest way to do it is dealing with YouTube and Vimeo to protect your data. If you want even a higher level of protected data, you can use Amazon's S3 hard drive in the cloud, and you just upload the data and then share it from there. And if you need to distribute the data around the world, here's the quick summary. If you want to update or distribute the data around the world, use a couple different services. One, which would distribute the data right off of Amazon's website. You don't have to move it around. That's the other beauty of it, is CloudFront. CloudFront then just goes and says, okay, well, I understand you have data on our server, and I'm going to make that available across the world. And then as people download it and access it, I'm going to charge you money for transferring that data back and forth, but the charge of the transfers of the data is really inexpensive. So that's certainly a big option. And then I use, because it integrates with lots of different things, Max CDN. I use it for my caching software off of WordPress to make my site faster, and I also use it so that I can distribute the web pages themselves across the world and make it faster and easier for my customers to get at it. So there's two kinds of data going on and being mirrored. One is your website data, and that website data is all of the HTML and CSS and JavaScript codes and all that other stuff, what's being hosted maybe by WordPress. And then because you have compartmentalized the media portion and you want to distribute the media portion, that's what I use for CloudFront, is the media portion. All right. So that is this particular Hangout. This is a Hillbilly's guide to hosting video on your own site. Covered everything from being free to really inexpensive. And I hope that works out well for you. Remember, if you have questions, please Skype me. Let me know what those questions are, and I'll do everything I can to help out. May God richly bless you and your business. Take care.